Hey, what's up, Tik Tok world? It's Patrick Lovell coming at you at about 12:30 p.m. my time, which is November 16th, 2022. And yeah, some really funky business is going on over here at TikTok. It's a Chinese-owned company. I happened to drop some truth bombs the other day regarding kind of the luminosity of the stupidity of crypto, led by Sam Bankman-Fried, and everything that equates to. Ultimately, there's a large trader, I guess, in Hong Kong who might be able to pick up some of the pieces, but it's definitely created a devastating sort of hit to the world, or the credibility, I guess, of crypto, not to be confused supposedly with Bitcoin. But interesting timing to evaporate everything that we've been doing for the last 7 months. You know, which is to reveal the truth to you, that you live in a corrupt system. I've been telling you, we have the pieces of the puzzle that reveal the largest criminal conspiracy and cover up in the history of the world that basically destroyed 50 million Americans, 100 million people plus around the world, that led to literally trillions upon trillions of dollars being unleashed by the full faith and credit of the United States, that then got managed by none other than BlackRock, one of the world's largest, the world's largest asset manager, because of all of this stuff, and they own the world. And everything else is a facade. Everything else is corruption. So when I started talking about SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, and this crypto exchange, FTX, I mean, the whole thing is just literally, based on what I do and what I'm an expert in, I could have seen this scheme a million miles away, just looking in specific places. But once you start to see how this thing unraveled, it literally is a kind of a step and repeat from a bunch of pretenders that happen to come out of MIT and Stanford, that are just trying to emulate what the Fed did. That's all they're trying to do, but with make believe tokens. It's so absurd, it's insane. But what's even more insane is that now there's a ton of rich people barking to all of the media, because rich people get heard, and they're saying we need regulation. Okay, meanwhile, we had deregulation that led to complete criminal behavior by our financial industry that buried 50 million of you. And you stay on your knees. You don't say anything. You don't do anything. You just expect somebody else to save you, and nobody's going to save you. These rich, multinational, super powerful, inside pool corruption is going to gang rape you all day, every day, because they can. Because you don't do anything about it. Because you think you can watch some hot chick on a pole dancing, which I do on occasion, some really cool guy surfing, or some silly frat guy doing something funny, which I've watched all of those as well. Some beautiful pet, great family, whatever the case is that gets our attention, except for the truth bombs that we've been landing around the world. Now, interestingly enough, we had over 7 million views that just like that got evaporated. Obviously, I'm pissing off the right people, and many of you out there probably are like, oh my God, Patrick, they're going to come after you. So what? Come after me. Why wouldn't you have the same attitude I have? They've stolen our democracy. They've made a sham out of the integrity of law. If you don't have the integrity of law and democracy, you don't have free markets. And at the end of the line, you don't have the United States of America. And you're just going to put your head in the sand and pretend like that's okay? Well, I'm not. That's not who I am. I believe in the United States of America, and I know that if tens of millions of you wrapped your head around the facts that we've displayed, just go over to YouTube at www. Just go to YouTube and check out Patrick Lovell Truth Bombs the Con. We've got the entirety, the 10-hour filibuster that I laid out, all of the intricacies of how this whole thing works, and it's available on YouTube. It's definitely trending, or I should say it's got a lot of views, but we need it to trend. We need 10 million people to watch it. If you could find 3 minutes a day to watch different increments, okay, it takes you a month to watch it. Hopefully you take notes. Maybe you go on a jog. Maybe you go to the gym. Maybe you listen to it like I listen to other things, and you get educated about how the system works. Because honestly, when there's all this information about this crypto exchange, and what this guy and his company did was just straight up Ponzi, but it is a mirror image, an emulation of everything that I'm telling you, only extraordinarily smaller. I think the thing, with crypto and everything else at this point, it's like less than 1% of what it is that I've revealed to you. Yeah, it's all that. In fact, it's like 30 trillion times the size of Watergate. And the question is, well, why haven't you heard of this from the New York Times? Why haven't you heard it from the Washington Post? Why haven't you heard it from MSNBC or Fox or CNN or any other media? A bunch of reasons. Mostly, I think that they're real cowards that work for these networks, and they don't know what journalism is. They think it's access to power that's lying to you. They don't have any investigative skill, so therefore they have no credibility. But on top of that, there's no credibility from anyone. Matt Damon, a guy who I love his films, I love his acting. I think he seems like a really great guy. Never met him, but I like him plenty in terms of his celebrity. And the guy actually did one of the greatest documentaries ever, which actually was a precursor to everything I did. It was called Inside Job. It was way, way, way back for you young people, back in, I think, 2011 when it won the Academy Award. And that basically was step one towards what it is I reveal to you in the con at www.thecon.tv. And on YouTube, if you go to Patrick Little Truth Bombs the Con, it's right there. It's called Deception Owns You. 11.1.22. And what did he end up becoming? Well, he was a mouth voice for crypto, alongside LeBron James, alongside Shaquille O'Neal, alongside Tom Brady, alongside Larry David, all of whom I love. They're all incredible athletes, but they just got paid to be spokespeople for something they didn't know that turned out to be a goddamn fucking con, which was 1/100th the size of what it is that I'm telling you. By the way, back in the early 2000s, a company called Ameriquest had Super Bowl commercials, just like FTX did, and they blew up the freaking world. And by the way, the guy who was the CEO of that company, he was the largest contributor to then President George W. Bush. Not Exxon, not, McDonnell Douglas or Lockheed Martin, which anybody who understands anything about the Trump Bush presidency would just assume. No, it was Roland Arnault. He was in the subprime predatory lending business. Guys, what we're dealing with has been going on for a very long time. And I've been watching literally nonstop this news on this whole crypto madness. And everybody in mainstream media are idiots. They don't have a fucking clue how this stuff works. And so what I'm trying to tell you is I've got the answers that impact hundreds of millions of people. I spent years and thousands of hours getting all of the information. I've worked with the top guys at the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the Department of Justice, the Securities and Exchange Commission, AGs around the country. They've done a damn good job of keeping this under lids because, for example, like I told you at the beginning of this whole thing or a few truth bombs ago, this is the story that BlackRock can't have you see. And by the way, BlackRock owns everything. They're like the largest shareholder of Netflix, right? Chase and Goldman Sachs, two other major, financial behemoths that we expose in the con. They're the ones who put the deal together for HBO and Time Warner Discovery. And I'm a producer. I want to work with all these guys, but they don't want to tell the story because they all get their funding from the system, which is the mafiocracy, okay? And then ultimately, when I take this a step further, I mean, like I expose in my 11.1, 22, Mr. Smith Goes to Hollywood, filibuster to the American people where I lay the whole thing out, including if you want to get information on Trump, okay? It's all in there. But what I really reveal, and it's incredible, and I want the world to know it, is that I proved that two things happen simultaneously. The first is Vice. You guys might remember Shane Smith, some of you out there. There's this company that, was on HBO, and then he got in trouble for all sorts of stuff. But they did a documentary that landed in 2019 that was supposed to be kind of the end-all, be-all of what took place after the 2008 great financial crisis. And it's the only documentary that has former Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson, former president of the New York Federal Reserve, Timothy Geithner, and former Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke, all together publicly talking about what happened at that time period and what came out of it. And ultimately, they had President Barack Obama. They had Nancy Pelosi. I think Chuck Schumer was in there. But they had a little bit of stuff with Mitch McConnell. But it's like, and George Bush, of course, right? And then, of course, who was Obama's Chicago go-to, whose brother is the head of one of the biggest Hollywood agencies. God, his name eludes me at the moment. But the long and the short of it is, they're all like doing the stance about how they saved the world and all the drama and everything else to go get what's known Congress to approve TARP, the Tribbles Assets Relief Program, which was $700 billion. And if you watch this documentary, it's incredibly well done. You know, the people that are inside the system that produce this damn thing, you know, they get paid millions of dollars. They've got incredible research, and they fucking lie to you. It was propaganda because of what I continue to tell you, that Federal Reserve Act 13.3 was used illegally, that pumped $30 trillion into a bankrupt financial shadow sector that got that way because they were using this criminality that made FTX that big in comparison. And that's why apparently they decided, get rid of this guy on Patrick on social media. He's too dangerous. Maybe they're coming for me. I don't know. Fuck them. If they are, you got to have this attitude because it's corrupt. Again, like I said, why would you sit down and just like look around and pretend like, oh, you know what? Everything's okay. And go, la, 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 la. I don't need to know this until the next time your life blows up. Did you have a parent or a grandparent that lost their home to a wrongful foreclosure when the courts stacked the deck because they were using illegal documentation fraud to basically bulldoze innocent people through the courts and then blame them for not being able to hold up to their end of the bargain? It was a setup. And it wasn't just them. They got them all the way to the pensioners. So it ultimately got predation, African Americans, then the rest of everybody who was vulnerable and got set up in this thing, and they connected them to pensioners that they blew up. Oh yeah, by the way, there was, in this whole FTX madness, it turns out one of the big investors was a pension for the Ontario, Canada Teachers Pension Fund. Same verse, second verse, same as the first. It doesn't end. It's the story. It's how it goes. And it's all backstopped. I mean, this is what's so funny about these idiots who were smart, I guess, but I kept telling everybody about crypto and Bitcoin until you've got the, control of oil and, nuclear weapons and all commodities. What are you talking about that this crypto or Bitcoin has value? It's just FOMO, fear of losing out, fear of missing out. People that invest, that have money. So it's just a game for rich people that you get in, you get out, they get played, whatever. That's not the real economy. Has nothing to do with it. But when we had it plugged into the real economy and the housing industry, which everybody depends on, it blew up the frickin' world. And then we used the full faith and credit of the United States to give trillions to the guys that buried everybody. Illegally! Hey, you know what? I guess we can play whack-a-mole. They can, get rid of the numbers and, all of the stuff that we've laid out there, and we can, keep trying to come back. And then one day maybe there's going to be a little light on my head while I'm doing one of these, and, I'll get taken out, and hopefully it'll be on live, streaming. And so, hey, maybe 1 million people would pay attention. As opposed to, oh, you know what? I'm going to go watch the fucking pole dancer. I'm going to watch the guy puke. I'm going to go fucking complain to somebody that somebody doesn't care about my fucking hair. I don't know. Bullshit. Guys, I got the goddamn truth. The mother of all truths. And I'm going to continue to drive it forward because when you have the truth, you're bulletproof. And it's not rocket science. It's racketeering. Check it out. www.thecon.tv or go to YouTube, Truth Bombs, Patrick Lovell, Truth Bombs the Con, and, please absorb it and share it like the world depends on it and your life depends on it, because it does.